Hello, and thank you for joining me for a sunshine session of the Rehab Corner this morning. Today I want to talk a little bit about a concept that's important, especially for people that have neck pain or doing something in the day-to-day that requires them to sustain a certain position with their neck, especially if it's an awkward position. So if you're, let's say, a musician, plays a string instrument, that sort of thing, or even if you're just at a computer and you're looking in a particular way, or your workstation's oriented so that you're always turned towards a particular way. This concept is called head on body versus body on head movement. And basically what we're talking about is when you move, are your head and your body locked together, or can they move independent of each other? And so the easiest way to show you this is just to show you. So what you'll typically see with people that have neck issues, and this was a concept that I probably should have learned in PT school, but I actually learned as a patient when I was over at the Postural Restoration Institute for vision training. One of the things they were looking at was this head on body versus body on head kind of ability. And so I'll show you the test that they did on me, and you can just do this on yourself. Just find a full body mirror. So this is kind of how this went. The founder, Ron Haruska, who I was working with, he says, go ahead and shift into your left hip. And what he meant is drive your left hip to the side. And what he's looking at is, where does the head go, where does the body go? And this is what it looked like when I first did it. And you can see how the head and the body move together, right? And so the midline is somewhere over here, kind of a vertical midline through my body. The center of the feet kind of come up straight here. And you can see my head is to the right of that midline. So this would be someone that has a poor ability to dissociate the head from the body. So what we would really want to see is the nose keeps a midline between the middle of the feet, and this would be a better head-on body relationship. So we can see the middle of the feet, we come up, it's at about the nose, right? And so this is what we're talking about. Literally just keep the head in one spot and be able to shift the rib cage underneath. Okay, and when you do that, now you have a body that's moving independent of the head. So in this side to side plane, right, and that's called frontal plane. Okay, the body has three planes, kind of front to back, bending forward and back, side to side, going side to side, that's frontal plane, and then rotational, which is transverse plane. So the easiest one to start with is this frontal plane kind of thing. And even if you just have a vanity mirror, if you park your head to that vanity mirror and you keep it in one spot, and then you learn to shift underneath it. At first you can start with just the hips kind of thing, and then as you improve that, you can bring the whole kind of upper rib cage shoulder area with it. Okay, that sort of thing. And then the next step is to start adding that rotational plane movement with it. So you go to one side, okay, reach forward with whatever side you're on and reach back with the opposite side. Okay, and this is starting to look like walking. Okay, it's also probably starting to look like flossing. Okay, we all know the dance move, right? You shift into a hand, and then there's some sort of this movement to it, I believe. And then it would be the opposite on the other side, right? Something like this. But who knew that flossing is actually the key to relieving neck pain? So that variation I just did that had that transverse plane motion, and it resembles very closely a exercise, a PRI non-manual technique, which is called standing bipedal trunk rotation. This is one of the activities that I got when I was a patient. So all you would do is you would bend your knees slightly. You're going to tuck your tailbone underneath, so you get this kind of action going on. Okay, you shift back in one hip by bringing one knee ahead of the other. So I just brought right knee ahead of left knee. Now I'm going to reach back with the right hand and across the midline with the left. And what's important to see here is the nose, the belly button, and the pants zipper are all lined up, right? So that's a neutral, kind of a tuck with the pelvis, right? That side to side tuck, shift back into a hip. I'm back into the left hip, right knee in front of the left knee. Okay, I reach back with the right hand across the midline with the left. Okay, but I have nose, belly button, pants zipper in this position. Do a couple of breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, maintaining that sense of, do I have my left heel on the ground? Do I know where my left teeth are? And am I forward with my vision and my head as I'm allowing my body to rotate without losing that sense of midline? So you do a couple there, then you're going to shift back through the right hip. So that's left knee ahead of right knee. Then you're reaching back with the left across midline with the right and maintaining that midline. And so you do a couple of breaths in each position there. And then eventually it starts to look something like this when you're walking. So your head's here, okay, you advance a leg forward and boom. Now you come onto the other leg, you advance a leg forward and boom, okay? What am I doing here? I'm shifting back into a hip, I'm reaching across midline, I'm rotating my trunk, and my head staying independent of the body. So here we're talking about body on head sort of ability, right? Here's the head, the body's moving on the head. Okay, that's the general concept. Easy, kind of simple to get. Test it on yourself. You might notice that you really suck at it because that's kind of where I was at, and you go gentle with it, right? So don't try to force it all at one time. It'll probably be kind of uncomfortable on the neck if you're someone that has a lot of chronic stiffness and patterning, and you associate this head with the rib cage. And if you're not making gains when you start working on it, then you might have something else that's contributing to it. Like, what is it that's locking your head to your body? And sometimes that's a change in contact with teeth. That could be a change in the way your palate's functioning. That could be a change in the way your vision's functioning. It could be a pain-related issue that's keeping you there, you're guarding. It could be a lack of sensory input from other areas of your body, such as feet, so you want to think about proper footwear. This could be a restriction that has to do with loss of nasal respiration. So lots of different things can play into why someone has this, but whether those things are happening or not, a part of the game is going to be to start to get better body on head motion, and you want that in both this side to side frontal plane kind of business, and then you also want in that transverse plane business rotating below the head. Okay, so it starts to look something like dancing. Okay, so probably starting there. Okay, then once you get that, then you can start to add this sort of other stuff underneath, shifting the hips, okay, a reach while maintaining midline, and that's pretty cool. And you can do a number of different things here, right? We can do kind of some backwards walking with some torso, bending with some breathing that will help kind of facilitate a better position for the abs and diaphragm as you do that, make it a little easier on you, and then you can progress to just straight up walking. Yeah, that's the end of the program is walking and having your head just in one direction. In another video, we'll talk a little bit about vision and not fixating on objects and peripheral awareness, because once your head's independent of your body, then you want to be able to leave it there, right? And if you're always tracking objects and those sort of things, that can throw you off. But that's a conversation for another day. Thank you for joining me this morning on a sunshine session version of the Rehab Corner. I'm Greg Chaplin. Have a great day.